Zach Bond. Say his name, because if you haven't yet, you're about to. You can call it a breakout, a resurgence, or a long overdue reckoning, but the reality is simple. He was always destined to arrive. The path was never smooth. The journey was never easy. And yet, here he is, standing at the center of the conversation, a player who forced his way into the spotlight with nothing but sheer will and relentless drive. The Philadelphia Eagles took a chance, and in return, they got one of the most electrifying defensive performances of the season. But this story didn't start in 2024. No, it started long before that, in a place few were paying attention to, with a player few believed in. West Bend, Wisconsin. Not exactly the kind of place scouts fly out to on recruiting trips. Not the kind of place that breeds NFL legends. And Bond, he was never supposed to be one of those players you talk about for years to come. He wasn't a five-star recruit. He wasn't a name you'd find dominating high school highlight reels nationwide. He wasn't even the kind of player who made you stop and say, yeah, that guy's going to be something special. He was just another name on a roster, another kid with a dream. But what the scouting reports never measured, what they couldn't measure, was his determination. Bond made his way to Wisconsin, a school that had built a reputation on toughness and physicality. It was the perfect fit, a proving ground for a player who never had anything handed to him. But then came the first test. A foot injury. His first year, gone before it even began. Redshirted. Forced to watch while everyone else took the field. Some players break in moments like that. Some start to question if it's ever really going to happen for them. Some decide that maybe, just maybe, this dream isn't meant to be. Bond, he decided the exact opposite. By the time he was back on the field, he wasn't just playing. He was hunting. Relentless. Explosive. A force. His senior season at Wisconsin wasn't just good. It was dominant. 76 tackles. 19.5 tackles for loss. 12.5 sacks. The kind of numbers that don't just turn heads. They demand attention. First team All-Big Ten. All-American. A disruptor in every sense of the word. And yet, when draft day came, the waiting game began. The first round passed. The second round. Teams looked the other way. They hesitated. They doubted. Pick 74. Third round. Finally, the New Orleans Saints made the call. It wasn't the dream scenario. It wasn't the first round glory. But Bond had never been the type to care about how the story started, only about how it ended. New Orleans gave him a shot, but the NFL doesn't make room for everyone. The early years were a battle. Special team snaps. Rotational duties. The occasional flash of potential. But that big moment, the one that changes everything, it never came. For seasons in, and he was still fighting for recognition. And then came the worst part, December 2022. A calf injury. A season cut short. A league that moves on fast. By the time the Saints let him walk in free agency, there was no parade, no desperation to keep him. Just another player hitting the market. And then, Philadelphia came calling. A one-year deal. No guarantees. Just an opportunity. The same thing Bond had spent his entire career chasing. Then came week 1. Sao Paulo, Brazil. A stadium packed with fans. A new beginning. And Bond wasted zero time in making sure the league understood what was about to happen. 15 tackles. 2 sacks. A game that wasn't just a strong start, it was a statement. This wasn't the same player teams had overlooked. This was something different. Something more. Week after week, he continued to prove it. Flying around the field. Disrupting everything. The kind of player offenses had to plan around. The numbers piled up, but more importantly, the impact became undeniable. 152 tackles. 3.5 sacks. 5 forced fumbles. Pro Bowl. First team All-Pro. The kind of season that makes teams rethink every decision they've ever made about a player. The kind of season that makes you wonder how they didn't see this coming. And then came the moment. The game that changes everything. Super Bowl 59. Philadelphia versus Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes on the other side, looking for another ring. A game on the line. Fourth quarter. The Chiefs driving. And Bond, standing right in the middle of it all. A read. A jump. An interception that didn't just shift momentum, it ended it. The play that sent Philadelphia to the top. The play that turned Bond into something more than just another name on a roster. The play that solidified everything he had spent his entire career proving. And now here we are. That one-year deal. It's over. And the Eagles have a decision to make. Do they lock him in, make him a foundational piece of their defense, and secure what could be the prime of a dominant force? Or do they let him walk? Do they let another team scoop him up? And do they spend the next 5 years watching him tear apart offenses somewhere else?